Hi everyone and welcome back to WARNO. Something a bit different today. We're going to do a deck build. I'm not done one of those in a while. The whole casting of this, or last month's tournament, is sort of coming to an end now, and then there'll be the May tournament, and then we have the charity event coming up as well, which I'll try and do some videos of, if not covering that as well. Again, the charity event is going to be hosted by SD League, and it's going to be on the weekend May 28th and 27th. So I think the 27th is going to be SD2 and 28th is going to be WARNO. Pretty sure that's the case. I will post about it on the channel soon. But again, it's going to be Faction Against Hunger, so I do recommend everyone gets involved with that if you can. So today we're going to do the Territorialkommando Süd. We've seen a couple of players do quite well with this, including Hippie with some decent memes going on. So I thought, why not? I've not built a deck for this one in absolutely ages. In terms of your supply, there's a lot to choose from here. You've got some reasonably big choppers, some slightly smaller choppers with a very small amount of supply, and then the usual trucks as well. In terms of the trucks, that's probably good value for money, but I always like to have a selection. So I'd actually probably take two of these. I mean, it's more for having mobility and the fact that I can have them in multiple places. These are great, but the problem that I have with them is I drive them to one area and they're going to refill just that area. So maybe for artillery they'd be handy, but I'd rather have something that's pretty flexible. Other option would be to bring in this, which unfortunately is double the cost. It's nice that you can sell them now when they're empty, but for me, I'd probably stick with the trucks. It's a personal thing, but there's nothing wrong with taking the larger trucks. They're good value for money, really. And the munitions choppers, they serve a purpose. On a big map, they're going to get there very quickly. In terms of your command vehicle, this is up to you. I'm going to go with the little Jeep just because there's three of them. And numbers tend to be better than anything else. You want more rather than less in a lot of situations. And as you'll have noticed in the 1v1 tournament games recently, there have been a few situations where people have run out of commands. So if you're in that situation, more is better. For me, okay, it's team games in 10v10s, so yeah, it doesn't matter as much, especially for the 10v10s because there's so many available anyway. In terms of the infantry, there's a lot to choose from here. The Feldjäger are cheap, cheerful, and they're good at close range. They're military police as well, which is handy for other units around them. So I think they're definitely worth taking without a shadow of a doubt. I'd stick those in there. With the other units in here, the anti-tank you've got is a Milan 2. I would definitely take that. There's something to be said for ranking it up because of the improvement to cohesion. The cohesion bonus is great because, you know, stress recovery is good, stress resistance is good. I sort of and ah over this. If they're at maximum range, they technically shouldn't be being hit, but people will try to close the gap, so it's difficult. You drop it down to 4. So I'd probably stick with a 6. Again, it's a personal choice, but there's no reason not to take it ranked up. I think that's also very reasonable. And again, in 1v1, is that better? Because players who are playing in the 1v1 ranked, they're probably going to know to push your units. So sitting back and trying to keep them at distance maybe won't work. Now, the problem with these guys is they do come in a Super Puma, so they're going to be pretty expensive. If you want cheaper, you have to go with the Milan 1s. You also got the M40, which isn't bad. I'd probably take those as well, just for some close range anti-tank. Remember, these are all 1 activation point cards, so fill this deck with infantry. Don't be shy about it. Heimatsuchen, they used to be amazing. They have issues now in that, you know, they come as experience poor. They're recruits, they're nothing special. The cohesion's going to drop very, very quickly. So gone are the days where you brought them in and they were this fantastically cheap, amazing unit that did a bit of everything. I think, you know, maybe if you're keeping them with some Feldjäger, it might help a bit. They do have the whole reservist thing going on, though. And yes, the military police should help with this, but they're not great. Pioneer squads, again, reserve pioneer squads. they're not going to get anywhere near the enemy troops before they're panicking. So I wouldn't even waste your time with that. Pioneer Flams with the hand flam patron. They used to be really, really good. I'm not sure they're quite as good as they used to be, but you're going to want some anti-infantry stuff, so I would bring those in. There is something potentially to be said for ranking these up now. They're a squad that are going to remain in combat for a while at close range, and they do want to be close range because of their SMG type weapons. So I'd actually now rank those up. Whether you bring in 2 cards of those, I don't know. The same goes for the Pioneers. I'd bring those in, but I'd rank them up now. I think that's just better in terms of their staying power in a fight. Now, you got the Pioneer Armbrust as well. Now, it's great that it does, you know, fires very rapidly. Its rate of fire is 20, but the problem with this is its damage is quite low. So whether you want to fill a slot with that is up to you. Green Berets are very good. They have the AT4. And their mobiles are very good. They have a Pilas launcher. Either of these really need to be ranked up. The Green Berets obviously come in fully ranked. But you can bring the air mobiles in. Just veteran. I'm definitely going to take at least 1 squad of those. Jaeger can come in vehicles. I'd potentially bring them in this because it's got the machine gun, and you're not really going to be bringing anything else in something that has a gun on it. So that's probably a nice option, just to have something with a little bit of fire support if you get stuck. Again, I would rank them up for staying power. Command, I mean, it's kind of tempting just to go with the Green Berets leader, because at the end of the day, yes, you only get 2 of them, but they're fully ranked up, and they've got a strength of 12, so they're not easy to kill. I've seen people use a Chinook for these. I'd actually just bring them in the Humvee personally. I think if you're doing 1v1 ranked, I'd be more inclined to bring them in the Chinook, because the Chinook does have a lot of health itself. You know, it's 12 health, so it's got a lot of staying power. But in the games I play, I'm not convinced I need that. So if I was building a ranked deck, though, I think I would take them in the Chinook. Okay, 2 slots left. What have we got a space for? We've got some close range troops. We've got long range, anti-tank, a couple of squads. Are the machine guns in a good place right now? Umming and ahhing. The bigger ones might be better. I don't know. They're not used as much as they were, and we can't rank them up. They only come in trained. So they're going to get stressed out pretty easily. So probably not. I think the choice is probably Green Berets, and accept that you've got some expensive infantry. And we've already got some Jaeger. Let's go air mobiles. So we've got quite expensive infantry, but very good infantry. And it also means that we can rush to the front lines if we need to. We're not going to be stuck, you know, trying to get stuff to the front against someone who is forward deployable. Okay, fine. Green Berets are forward deployable. That is an option as well. And they're not too expensive, I guess, at the start. Artillery, well, you're not exactly spoilt for choice here. The M110, I'm not a big fan of, just because of the slow fire rate. And I don't use a lot of artillery anyway. I would go with the 155s, and I would get yourself either the Panzermörser or just the Tampella. I mean, they both have the same actual mortar size, so it's 120 millimeters. You get 3 of those, you get 4 of those. I mean, yeah, I'm going to be mainly using these for smoking or harassment, and I think people very rarely bother to artillery them, so I just go with the ones that don't come as self-propelled. Tanks, it's a dismal situation, really, isn't it? Yes, definitely the command tank. Just take it. It's better than nothing. You want more commands at the end of the day, and at least it's got, well, some armor. I'd probably take these as well, and I'd rank them up because, well, they're your only option in terms of those types of tanks. And then I guess you could go down the route with some spammy Kammern Jagdpanzers, a little bit of harassment. Is it worth ranking those up, really? Probably not. They're going to die anyway in one hit, so go with the harassment capability. Recon, you got some decent choices here. The BGS here, close range only, and they don't have any experience, so I probably wouldn't jump on those. Green Archer, obviously it is exceptional. I do kind of like these, but I am finding them very easy to be killed at the moment, the vehicles with exceptional recon. Jaeger Aufkull, I think, you know, they've always been very good in the game, so they're definitely going in there. The FS Jaeger, these are the special units, obviously, that, well, as you can see, they've got lots of stats against them. They've got, let's see, Recon, Special Forces, Shock, and Airborne. So they basically have everything that you would want. The only problem is they don't have any tank, but they're good against infantry. One thing that we don't have here is ground radar. So that's one thing you're sort of missing in this deck. We do get the AMX-10 RC. I mean, unfortunately, I mean, you can have 4 of them. I think you take 4 of them. I mean, they're annoying. We know they're annoying. We've seen it. And then, do you take... That's not a lot of recon, I've got to be honest. That's not a lot of recon. I'm tempted to go with the Gazelle Cannon. I mean, they're the same. It's just a little bit more money for a cannon. I think we go with the cannon just because the cannon can then be a bit of harassment. We've still not spent that many points. I was worried there because they're 3 points at this stage, but it's not too bad. Anti-air, well, you're not spoilt for choice. These should be far enough back that you're not getting hit by stuff and getting stressed out. The Roland 2s aren't radar, the Roland 3s are, and you also have the Eyehawk, which obviously has the better range. I quite like the Eyehawk. This has better accuracy, but this has better range. I think definitely the Eyehawk goes in there. The Fliegerforst, because, well, that's all you have available. They're very cheap. You can even rank those up and still have loads of them, so I mean, it makes very little difference, but yes, stick that in there. And then the Roland 2s, I think I'd take 6 Roland 2s, and then at least you've got something that you can stick down and not have to worry about, because you're going to be turning the Eyehawk on and off. I'd be tempted to take the Roland 3 as well. I think there's room for that in there, but I'm just going to move on and come back. Helos, okay, let's be fair here. This deck has potential for some meme rushes, as we have seen from Hippie. Now, you could rank these up so they get stressed out less, but realistically, I think choppers get very stressed out by cannons and missiles. Well, if a missile hits this, it's dead in 1, isn't it? Because it only takes 4 damage. So I think you could just do that. I'd probably then get a hot 2. And again, you could potentially rank that up, but I'm not convinced it's worth it. I don't know how anyone else feels about that. Let me know in the comments. Do you think it's worth, with these gazelles that die in 1 hit, is it worth ranking them up? Does it really make that much difference? I'd then consider taking some more gazelle cannons if you want to be a bit silly with it. Aircraft-wise, we have seen the laser-guided bomber do very well. Is it just the one laser-guided bomber in here? I think it is. That's been doing exceptionally well, so I'm definitely taking that. I've seen some very impressive stuff done with that. Expensive and could take up multiple slots, though. HE bombers, that has 5 bombs. That has 12 bombs. Depends if you're going carpet bombing or not. What have we got anti-air-wise? Anti-air-wise, we do have the F4F. You get 4 of them on a card. I mean, we can take them, so at least you have something. The thing is, they're all short range, so you're going to be mainly relying on ground. Do we have any other jets that just happen to... Oh, we have the Mirage, of course we do. I knew there was something else in here. It's just because it's not got AA next to it, and I was scanning the list for AA. I was going to say I was sure there was something else. So Mirage definitely goes in there. Anti-tank, Mavericks versus Mavericks. That has better accuracy, and it's got AA, so I think we'll take that. Remember, we have terrible tanks, so anything that's going to kill tanks is probably a good thing. The Alpha Jet Cluster Bomber, the Mirage 5 is probably a better option for the cluster there. It's got ECM, its speed is better, its agility isn't as good, but I think of the two there, I'd probably take that. We've still got loads of points to spend. I kind of want a HE Bomber as well. Our choices are... That's pretty cheap and cheerful. But I think we go with that, and it does have anti-air capability as well. You'll notice I never really rank up aircraft. I don't really see the point in this game. Again, let me know in the comments if you think it's worth ranking them up. My thing is that because they've reduced the amount of accuracy it gives, I mean, who cares? We still got loads of points left. I'm tempted to stick the other Lizard Bomber in there because, as I say, they have proven themselves to be very effective in some games. You just got to be careful with them. Maybe not the best thing to bring in 10v10s, admittedly, but in a team game, yeah, definitely. Look, you got 44 of 50, so let's go back through. We've got points to spare. Could take some more logistics. Maybe you stick the field depot in there. I'm not really too keen on it myself. Artillery, you could definitely take something else there if you foresee more artillery, if you're that way inclined. I'm not. I don't use a lot of ARTY, so it's not for me. Tanks, the only thing I'd consider taking here is perhaps the Milan launcher, just for the spam ability and the fact that it's more causing anxiety for the enemy when it sees a load of missiles coming towards it. I'd be very tempted to take more recon, because I do feel like I'm lacking recon, and we could take two things, so I will take more recon. Could just take more Jaeger Aufkl, couldn't I? I mean, that squad's pretty decent. But the Jaeger Aufkl, you know what, we'll give these a go, because they are forward deployable. I'll give them a try. I'll give them a try. Maybe they'll be good in a town situation. And then 3 points left. Do we just take some more aircraft, or do we make room for that AA? That's difficult. With the Mirages and the AA there, there's probably enough, so we could take another bomber. A cheap HE bomber? That one's very expensive, but it's a bit of a carpet bomber. Let's take that as an option. I mean, I feel like you're going to be playing quite a lot of air with this. So we'll see. There we go. Let's have a quick look through. So, a couple of sets of trucks. Personal preference. Feel free to take whatever you want. Infantry. I've got a big mix here, but I've kind of avoided the cheaper infantry, and I might regret that. But I just have the fear now that because they're only rookie or poor inexperience, that they're just going to panic so quickly. I'm not sure it's worth it anymore. I suppose for cheap harassment, but then, you know, you've got the Feldjäger, and they seem pretty good still, in the fact that the military police will help bolster everyone else. Artillery, I mean, other than taking the big M110, I wouldn't really change much there. Tanks, I mean, there's not really much of an option here. This has a worse gun. This has a better gun. You're going to take the one with the better gun. Recon, I think there's plenty of choices there. The AMX is still very good, so you're going to take that. Jaeger Aufkl is still very good, so you're going to take them. And then beyond that, mix and match. Green Arch is fine. I just find I'm losing them more than I would like to be, these recon vehicles with exceptional. I don't know why. They're not performing as well as I would like. Anti-air, well, yeah. Fliegerforce is your only choice there. I would avoid these things. They're really pointless at the moment. The Ihawk is pretty good in my opinion. as are both of these, but I prefer the Roland 2 just because I can throw it about and not have to worry about seed. We got the gazelles there. One thing that I haven't taken, obviously, here, because we don't get it, is seed. So you're going to be relying on the lizard-guided bombers to take out anti-air. So bit of caution when it comes to dealing with anti-air systems with this particular deck. And that's it. Thanks for watching, everyone. Please do like, share, subscribe. Let me know in the comments if you build the deck differently. Let me know what you think about the whole ranking up aircraft. Would you do it? Wouldn't you do it? Just curious what other people think. Well, thanks for watching, and I'll see you all soon.